Yeah, is pleased to honor John McMahon as a recipient of the 2018 Community Impact Award. We appreciate everything you do and your heart. All right. So at this time, Reverend George Lamb is going to come up, and we thank you so much for your time this evening. John has a previous obligation, so he's got to head out. So let's just give him another hand clap and appreciate him taking the time tonight to be with us.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Praise the Lord. Somebody praise the Lord. I know it's a little late in the evening, but we can still get excited for Jesus. Amen. Can he have some in the house tonight? Amen. That means praise the Lord. That's good. That's good. I'm so privileged to be among you tonight. I want to take one moment to ask, how many of you have been here all 3 years that we've had a community impact event? Amen. Look at that. This is your second time. Very first time. Amen. You're welcome. We're excited that you're here. We continue to appreciate the support that you provide us and the fellowship that we get to exchange one with another. God is good. Amen. 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 I want to invite to the stage a young lady who is the director of the San Bernardino County Public Health Department. She's been a key champion for FACT since its very inception. In fact, the very first funding that we received in planning grant dollars just to figure out how we were going to be. When they said pastors couldn't come together and we couldn't do the kind of work that we've come together to do, we had some supporters, we had some encouragers, we had some champions and partners that motivated us and kept us moving in the face of whatever challenges we might have experienced at the time. And I want to ask Ms. Raimundo if you'll come to the stage at this time. She's being honored and recognized tonight as a recipient of a Community Impact Award, because not only in our beginnings did she support us, but she continues to do that. And so I'm going to ask Trudy if you will just talk briefly about your historical perspective regarding your organization. In fact, let me tell you this. The two ladies that will be receiving awards tonight, they have influence at the state level. Yes. They have influence at the local level, and they are community impactors even in a way that you might not know about. And so I'm going to ask her to just talk a little bit about the work that you do.
Well, thank you. So this is actually my second year here, and I think before I get too diverted off, I think the first year I was here was actually at the beginning of the year, and I thought, what a great way to start the year. Now that it's almost Thanksgiving and we're at the end of the year, I have to say, what a great way to end the year. As we start to round into the holidays and a way to say thank you. What a perfect opportunity for me to just say thank you. Say thank you to you, thank you to George, thank you for the community. In terms of the work that we've been doing, and I struggle, and I know George does too, trying to really pinpoint when we first met and how that relationship started. And I truly believe it was an honest recognition of what we could do for each other. I think we actually sat down as peers, not as folks sitting on one side of the table and somebody else on the other, but as peers. We looked at each other and said, you know what? I can do something for you. And George said, I can do something for you. And that's how our relationship started. I have always been such a huge supporter of faith-based organizations. When I came back into public health, I knew I had some things to do. I had a big lift, and I knew I couldn't do it alone. If there was one thing that we realized in county government, especially, hearing Sheriff McMahon up here, we don't do anything alone. Because if we try to do it alone, we will fail. We will fail. And I knew I needed to do these things with faith-based and with George. I've always said that the faith-based organizations are an immensely untapped resource. You achieve things, you touch things, you have an experience and an expertise I will never have. You have an experience and expertise that the 900 folks in my department will probably never have. But in order for me to do my job, I need you. We need to work together. And I've started to think a little more about this idea of serving the community. But I think now I need to pivot a little bit and start to see myself as just part of the community. You know, no longer this idea that we sit on two separate sides of a table. Right. I need you to be on this side with me, giving me ideas, being part of the solution. And then I need to be on that side of the table, listening to you, trying to live through your experiences so that I can truly understand what happens in the community. I need to be able to step to the other side, but I need you to come over to my side. I need your ideas and I need your solutions. And so in terms of relationship, I think that's really, you know, one of the biggest epiphanies for me is that it no longer needs to be one on one side.
Amen.
Yes.
So one of the things that you may not know about is that there is a new effort among our county leadership and our intergovernmental agencies in terms of how they partner together. And as of late, what's been happening is a collective impact funding model where our local government partners are making resources available to community change agents like Pastor Mark and others that are members of FACT. And what I wanted to ask you about is some initiatives that you might be thinking about coming forward, some things that your resources have already been committed to and how you see it continuing exploration for things that we might do together.
So interestingly enough, with Sheriff McMahon here, one of the things he didn't mention is a new initiative that we do have going on in the high desert that absolutely puts your community and your expertise, faith-based, front and center. You know, we finally got a little smart in county government and decided to step back a little bit and say, wait a minute, maybe we're not the best ones to achieve these goals. Maybe what we need to do is step back, go to the experts, provide the resources, and not even do this providing resources. I think it's about time we started sharing resources. You know, it's no longer this one directional thing. We need to start sharing resources across the entire community. So we have been working very diligently with Pastor Mark and with folks in the community. And what I love about it, it is the perfect opportunity for county government to step back, but share our resources so that you can do what you do best. To make a real impact in the community. And so I'm hoping that actually this is a starting point for us to hopefully stay smart as we continue to move forward and understand when we do need to step back a little bit. Share our resources and let you do what you do best.
Thank you so much, Trudy. I want you guys to join with me in applauding the recipient of the 2018, and this is our inaugural Community Impact Award to Ms. Trudy Ramundo, the Director of the Public Health Department.
Yay!
It's like she doesn't do this all the time. Join with me in welcoming Ms. Karen Scott. She's the Executive Director of First 5 San Bernardino. I am privileged to sit on her advisory board. She is truly a champion, and we thank her for her support and attendance tonight. Ms. Scott has contributed to the collective impact funding model in this way. One of the things that Ms. Ramundo and Sheriff McMahon did not touch upon, but I want to make sure that we did make mention of it, is that in the past, these partnerships have not worked out well together. And one of the reasons was that faith-based organizations invariably did not have the requisite skill sets, right, to partner with local government and receive the kind of funding that will enable us to do the work of ministry, which is what we do, amen, advance the kingdom, and then contribute to the quality of life of our citizenry throughout San Bernardino County. So Ms. Scott, through her thought leadership, recognized the value, as Trudy talked about, in the untapped capacities in faith-based organizations. And with that in mind, she funded a program to build capacity for community-based organizations across the county. Most recently, through the development of an entity called IECC, or the Inland Empire Community Collaborative, faith-based organizations have been included in this capacity building and these trainings to help us become better stewards of the relationship that exists between us and county government. And so this champion right here, who had the thought leadership and the vision to cast funding into our world, right, that is now producing a harvest for us and for her. And I'd just like for her to talk a little bit about that.
Thank you, George. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So George said something that, well, let me just say, the faith-based community were the first service providers, right? Historically, I mean, our churches, our faith-based organizations are what served communities from the beginning of time. And we recognize that. I am the director for First Five San Bernardino. We have 200,000 children, ages prenatal through 5. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary this month, and very proud. We have invested over $400 million into services for families, for children and families. And as George said, through our relationships, we have learned how important it is to invest in our community organizations and in our faith-based organizations. We are very committed to our communities. We do no direct services in our organization, but we're thinking of ourselves beyond just funders. We know that we can do so much more than just funding organizations like George said that might have the degrees and the years of experience and that type of thing. I came to George and I said, George, we really need to tackle early childhood education. How can we do that? There are many churches that offer preschools, that offer childcare, that offer just the things that we are looking to do beyond what our school districts are doing. George came right in, he did the footwork, he's helped us plan. It's a work in progress, but that's the type of relationships that we need in the future, and that's what our organization is committed to, including the High Desert.
Amen. Amen.
I'm honored to also be on the advisory board for First Five. I don't quite know how I got there. She asked. She really kind of bullied me, you know. But I represent the faith-based community as an advisory board member. No, this is my good friend. Listen, truly a visionary, has a heart and a passion for our young people, and understands that the need here in the High Desert is probably as significant as it is in any other place in our county. And so I'm privileged to be a part of her thought leadership support team and how her organization moves forward. And you know, she just mentioned that there was some early childhood education initiatives, and we're still working on how to figure that out. But she has applauded us as faith-based organizational leaders, and we talked specifically about this church because you guys do education and early childhood real well here at First Assembly. Yeah. And so, you know, just know that there are things that are continuing to come, and we appreciate your continued prayer and support. Join me in welcoming the 2018 Community Impact recipient, Miss Karen Scott, Executive Director of First Five. Amen. We're going to transition now, praise the Lord, to a little bit more worship. Y'all okay with that?
Yes.
Amen. If the worship team will return to platform